Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle and you've reached my channel, Farm Girl Dry Goods. Henry is here with me again. Come here, buddy. You wanna say hi? Hello. Yes, he is a big boy. A lot of you enjoyed seeing him, didn't realize how big he was. He is a big boy. He's probably, we haven't had him to the vet and weighed for a while. And the last time he was 2, and he was about 80 some pounds, and he's bigger. He's full grown now. He's 4. Is he 4? He can't be 4. I think he's 3. They're so cute. It's his birthday month. And you can see he got clipped. So that's so nice because now he's not shedding all over. You're such a good boy, Henry. You're such a good boy. Do you want to go lay down? He's kind of a train wreck. He's just the biggest clown. I have him up here because him and Ivan were wrestling downstairs and I could not get them to settle down. Ivan is bigger than Henry is. Ivan is definitely over 100 pounds. So the two of them wrestling around unsupervised. They like to do that when we're not around because they can get away with it. They end up bumping into furniture. Like they can move the whole dining room table, which my computer is sitting on. They've knocked it on the floor. It's just, they're chaotic. So I have a huge pile here of wonderful stitching to show you. It's a little early in the morning, so I haven't really cleared my throat, and I'm chugging a second cup of coffee because we have a really long day today, and it's kind of a fun day. We don't do too much off the farm, like recreation-wise. But for my birthday, Gary bought me tickets to see Chris Stapleton, and I really love Chris Stapleton, so I'm super excited. The concert is tonight. It was kind of perfect for us because the concert is just a few days before Gary's birthday. So it was kind of a birthday present for us both, and he got some bougie seats. We're actually up, so it's at the Excel Center, I believe, and I'm pretty sure it is. And we have box seats. When we used to go see the Timberwolves, we used to sit in the box, and those are pretty bougie seats. So, it's just a treat. Oh no. I have a chicken in a goat pen who's about to, let me go take care of her. Okay, sorry about that. This window is a huge distraction. It overlooks my goat pen, and I just happened to see that we have, a hen who has one lone chick. She had a hidden nest somewhere, and she has hatched out 4 chicks. Only one of them remains, and it has gotten to be pretty big. And they're in the goat pen right now, and I do not trust my livestock guardian dogs. They're in the kid pen, so they're fenced off from the dogs, but I just don't want them wandering in. So that's kind of what Henry was watching. He was like, oh, they're gonna get lunch. So they will kill chickens. We have it pretty secured everywhere else. So anyways, so coming off of Sampler September, that was a giant fail for me. I did start a project. It just didn't go well. And September isn't a good time of year for me to really be stitching samplers anyways. I'm such a seasonal stitcher. I really want to be stitching pumpkins. I'm team pumpkin spice. So I decided, if I had been smart, I would have planned a seasonal sampler, which I thought about a little too late, but that's what I kind of swapped over to. So that's what I'm going to do next year, is just choose a seasonal sampler, and it just kind of makes sense to do that. I don't know why it didn't kind of hit me earlier, but I have a bunch of things here, so I'm just going to get started. I did take a bunch of my samplers off the wall. I always say I'm not a sampler stitcher, but as I was pulling them down, I've stitched a few samplers. So let me just get started here. The first one I have to show you, and this is just in an inexpensive frame. It just happened to be the perfect size. I ended up breaking the glass when we moved it. This was a gift for my mother-in-law. It's a Mana Inspirations, and it was designed by Needles Notion, and there was an alphabet here, that I removed in order to kind of personalize it. We have ties. I've talked about it before, but we have ties to the Amana Colonies, which is why I host my retreats there, which there's a retreat at the end of the month I'm so excited about. And it says, or the my husband's great grandmother was the last kitchen boss in Middle Amana, which is now a museum. And then her dress, Marie's grandma, great Ua Oma Marie, was her dress is hanging in the museum. And so that is so this I did for my mother-in-law. She absolutely loved it. And when she passed away, I got it back. So I would like to have this reframed into a proper frame, but I barely got this done by Christmas when I gave it to her. And she loved it just the way that it was. This is, I wasn't much of a sampler stitcher when I was younger, and this is the oldest sampler that I have, and I could not believe it when I did the math and realized that it's been almost 20 years since I stitched this. So crazy. So this is, the designer is You and I and Friends, and this one is called Chloe's House. I love this. I love this big white house. I would totally stitch this again. I'd probably do this green in a variegated floss, but I love it. I still love everything about it. I've always loved a big white house. And I would really, this one, when I stitched this, I just framed this probably 6 or 7 years ago. And when, before I started watching Flosstube, I never framed anything. I stitched just for the fun of it. I had a big pile, kind of a under the bed box of all these projects that I had stitched. And, so yeah, I guess I didn't really realize that people hung cross stitch on their walls, and now I have a ton of it and I love it, which has also changed my stitching style quite a bit. And then next, this one, I've shown all of these before, but this is Plum Street Samplers, American Samplers. This one is heavy. This was a retreat piece for Dying to Stitch, and it is to commemorate the state of Virginia. So we have the 3 American flags for the 3 founding fathers, the cardinal, which is a state bird, state motto, and state flower, which is the flowering dogwood. It's beautiful. I love Paulette's patriotic stitches. She puts a flag in almost everything, so I love it. That's a big one. I had this framed at Michael's. It was a very metallic-y. I have talked about it before, that I ended up, I think they did a great job. It was the frame itself, when I got it back, was very kind of blue, and I ended up taking some steel wool and distressing it quite a bit, and I like it much better. So there's that one. The goats are all outside right now. The weather is so nice and cool. Actually, this morning it was really cold. It was like, I woke up to 40 degrees. It's only 65 degrees in the house right now. I don't have heat or anything on. It was really hard to get out of bed this morning. And this one is Harriet Elizabeth Coe. This is a reproduction sampler by With Thy Needle and Thread, which is beautiful. I really love this. I saw the original sampler. Brenda brought it to a retreat that I did with her, and she puts up a little pop-up shop, and she had this one there, and it was not framed, and so I got to touch it, and it's kind of it was a real kind of chunky thread, almost looked like wool. I think she said it was stitched in silks, but it was on a larger count fabric, if I remember correctly, and it was about this size. So I really wanted to stay true to the original. However, there's a lot of mistakes in here. But so I stitched this one on a 32 count. I think it's an R&R Winners Brew, and I stitch it with 2 strands. I used all the called for colors because they're perfect. I think this one was charted from the front, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that one, but Brenda usually says in her patterns. But it's really, really pretty. The alphabet is eyelets, and there's a border here of eyelets. That was trying to get through. I don't know why. I don't mind eyelets. It was just a lot, like the whole, but it's beautiful. I'm glad I stuck with it, and I'm glad I chose to do the eyelets. It's fine in DMC too. And then there's just a titch of 1/1. And this one I also, when I got this back from the framer, it was very gold. So when I picked out the frame, the piece that I picked out at the framer looked a little bit more weathered like this, probably from being handled so much. So when I got it home and it was like this bright gold, I didn't love it. So I did the same thing, and I took some steel wool to it. And I even sanded the frame a little bit just to kind of weather it and age it. And I really like that. It's perfect. I did do the inside too, but I didn't want to take it out of the glass, so I was real careful about how close I got to the glass. And I have everything framed with an anti-glare UV. I don't know if it's like museum quality, but it is anti-glare, and it's got a UV protection in there. So love that. And then next, oh, this is one of my favorites. It's just so little and sweet. This is Puritan Sampler, and this is a Brenda Keys. And there was a border on the original design. It was a big border. It looked like Borgello, but it wasn't. Borgello? That doesn't sound right in my head. I think that's right. So I thought it was going to be a lot of satin stitches, and it wasn't. It was all cross stitch, and I just did not want to do that. But funny story is, and then my deciding factor was I stitched a few stitches and it didn't even show up, so I decided to skip it, but I forgot to take the stitches out. So they are forever in the bottom there. And then I love, of course I love all of them, because that's the reason I stitched them. But this is a heartstring samplery, and this is Beth Twist. This is called Coffee Saves Lives. I love it. This is part of her Magical Elixir series. This is the first one in that series, and she's got a couple others. Coffee is My Birthstone, and then Say Coffee. I'm drinking out of my Ohio mug today, because a lot of my retreat friends are from Ohio. So I just really love this. I love that it looks like an antique sampler, and I dyed this fabric myself, and then I put like a coffee ring mark on it. I love that it looks like an old sampler, but you kind of do a double take, and it's just adorable. This, the berry bowl is actually like a big basket of donuts. It's just so clever. And coffee bean tree. I mean, it's just adorable. I stitched my initials in the wrong color. I did this one in 2017. And then there's a bajillion mistakes in this border, because there's a little change up here in the border that I wasn't paying attention to. But I love this. And then my frame is another Michaels special, and I did not distress it this time. It came this way, and it's just perfect. I love it. So I'm excited to stitch the other two samplers in that series. And then there's also C is for Coffee. It's in a little round frame, and I do have the frame for that. So I plan on stitching that one as well. This next one, this was a 3-part mystery stitch along. This is another With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And this was distributed by Northern Crafts, who is no longer. They filed bankruptcy and went out of business, so the chart is no longer available. It might occasionally pop up on the secondary market, but I suspect it would be fairly expensive. I stitched mine on a 40 count. I showed it to Brenda, and she did mention it was very tiny. So I stitch it, and I stitch it on a Lakeside linen. In my experience, Lakeside linen is a 40 count is usually 42 to 44 count. But that one is really pretty. I love the birds up in the tree. Just pretty, pretty. I really love these flowers and the sweet little flowers in the corner. And it, did I say what fabric it was? It's a Lakeside vintage maple sugar. I don't remember if I said it was Lakeside. I don't remember if I said the color. So with all the called for threads. Okay, trying not to ruin any of these. And then this is, I can't remember if it's the pattern name is Tree of Life Sampler. I think so. And this is old chart. I just loved that it was, it's very sweet and kind of dated, like kind of calls 1985. And this one reminds me of Lisa Kindred Stitcher. I love the colors in it though, the pinks and the greens. And then my frame is also another Michaels, and it's just so pretty. I was stitching this when I went to go see Lisa, and I made a mistake and had to pull out. So I think I was like, had 3 side stitched, and I was on this side and I made a mistake. And when I was pulling out the threads, I got a little overzealous because I didn't have the right scissors, and I poked a hole through my fabric. So what I did is I just unstitched about 1 inch or 2 of this border, and then I kept this border and just continued around this way because my fabric was large enough. So I was able to salvage it without having to start over. And that was 2019 I finished it, but I feel like it was before that, at least a year before that, when I started it at Lisa's. So, and that is another Michael special. I love this frame. It comes in different colors, and I would like to have some more stuff framed in that, and maybe a different color. Then I think this is my last framed one. This is Heart and Hand Sampler, also by With Thy Needle and Thread. I framed this myself. I would like to take it and have it properly framed at some point. The linen is a 36 count vintage cedar plank linen by Lakeside. And so cedar plank is usually quite green. And I think it's just showing up more gray because it's picking up all the grays because of the frame color that I used. But I do have some more vintage plank or vintage cedar plank, and it is definitely more green. So this is just that particular dye lot. The called for color is Dove, and this is still available. I'm pretty sure I carry this, but it's very sweet. So one of my tips, if you have, I have some more seasonal stitch frame pieces to show you, and I think it's in there. Grateful, Thankful, Blessed. A lot of people are having trouble with the words showing up, and I had the same problem with these flowers. So what I did is I just stitched it with 2 strands. The whole you can't tell, but the whole sampler is stitched in 1 strand with the exception of the flowers, and then I used 2, and I think I used a 3865. I used a DMC. Because whatever the overdyed kind of white color was, just had too much variegation, wasn't really showing up. And then I did switch out the sheep for goats. So mine have little goats, little Saanen goats. I raised dairy goats that are, the breed is Saanen, and they are all white. That is really the only acceptable color that they come in. So that's that one. Is there a date on this? This one reminds me of Hawaii because I stitched, so it would have been 2018, because I stitched this one in Hawaii on my 20th wedding anniversary trip with my family. And I distinctly remember stitching these berries and this top border on the plane on the way there, and I was finishing it on the way back. So, and we were there for, I think, 10 days in Maui. It was very nice. And I just had a lot of chill stitching time. So my kids would, the resort that we stayed at, it was really nice. And they would go down to the ocean. It was right on the ocean, so that they would go down there. They'd go play badminton or whatever. And Gary and I would just chill at our Airbnb. which we rented a townhouse, and we would just sit and chill on the patio, have a cocktail overlooking the courtyard, and I would stitch and he would take naps, and it was wonderful. Oh, and we whale watched. We specifically went there that time of year to see the whales. They're amazing. So yeah, I have a lot of fond memories about that one. And then I have a pile of samplers here. I think we're doing pretty good on time. And these are ones that still need to be FFO'd, but they are, and they're in various stages. Some of them are completed and some of them are still works in progress, and some of them are complete failures. This one was a retreat piece. It's available now. This is by Chessie and Me, and this was from the 2019 Country Sampler Retreat. And then this is what the inside will look like when it's finished. And I did stitch all the pieces here. And let me find, I'm just gonna create a mess of a pile behind me here. And then this was the called for everything, because I got this as a class kit. Now this has become a series. This was the first one in that series, and she's now, we got one at Quilter's Station. It was more like a spring berry. And this year at Quilter's Station, she did a fall version, and I'm dying. I cannot wait. She's very good about releasing those. I cannot wait to stitch that one. I think it's my favorite of these needle roll series. It's got pumpkins on it. I'm so jelly. I'm so jelly. It's just, I love it. And then I have all my little pieces in the back just waiting to be finished. So this one, there's just a nun stitch around the border. Linda's very good for charting specialty stitches. There aren't too many in this one. I think that was pretty, I think this is all cross stitch, with the exception of the nun stitch here and here. And that's just to prevent your fabric from fraying, because you're going to cut it out and attach it to the inside of your housewife. So love that. Need to get that one done. It's been languishing a bit. I didn't pull these charts because I stitched everything in the called for, and the picture is going to look just like the finished piece. So this is Caroline Amelia Trowell. This is a With Thy Needle and Thread. Love this one. I love the soft color palette and all the pinks. And this is the called for fabric, called for threads. The only thing I changed is I changed this flower to a pink. It was white, or this kind of, yeah, wasn't it white? It may have been like this kind of creamy gold color, or maybe it was, no, it was this color, white, which is kind of hard to see there. And this is a seraphim. I believe it's like antique lace or something. It's whatever the called for is. And I kitted this one up at Country Sampler. She's a beauty. Really want to get that one framed. Next, I have this another With Thy Needle and Thread, and that was a reproduction sampler. This is an original, and this is Liberty House, and it's just a quick little stitch, a little patriotic stitch, and this is still available. I carry this one as well. Very sweet. And again, this is all the called for, and it's Weeks Dye Works Confederate Gray. Then this one also called for threads. I stitched it on a Picture This Plus Oaken. I love Oaken. And this is Scarlet House Martha Pudzy. And it's stitched, I believe it was, sorry, my arms are getting tired from holding it. I don't think it may have been NPI. I don't know. It's whatever the called for was. But this one was a bear. I have a hard time with the random motifs. And so this one, just because of where the page breaks, I like to stitch page at a time. And I kind of morphed into that. This one was, I was stitching this during when the world shut down with COVID, because I used to stitch this border because it was kind of mindless, and it's so methodical. I would stitch this on my Zoom calls with my stitchy friends. We would sit and Zoom chat. I think a lot of people were doing that. I'm really glad those days are over and we can meet in person again. But I love this. A lot of mistakes in this one too. And actually, I think the only real mistake is that I was going around the border. I don't know what I was thinking when I hit the bottom here. I turned my fabric like this, so all my stitches are sideways. It's so annoying that I did that, but I do not want to pull it all out. So I'm going to leave it. You know how sometimes I don't know about you, but mine start to smell like they've been handled a lot. I don't know. There's just something about it. I wish I could wash this stuff before framing it, but alas, you can't. And then this one is the LW Motif Sampler by Samplers Not Forgotten. And this one I had an unfortunate accident when I brought everything up last night. I had a big glass of water and the top came off of my, it's like a Starbucks insulated cup, and the top, there's a crack in it, and the top came off and I splashed it everywhere. And this is an R&R fabric, and it's their coffee line. So the coffee lines, like Winter's Brew and all those, are overdyed with coffee, which makes them not color fast. So, and I've had that happen before where like condensation from my glass has like dripped onto the fabric and caused a water spot. But it's always been kind of outside of the stitching area. So I'm extra careful when I'm using the R&R Coffee series in particular. So I'm super bummed about that because that's a pretty big stain. But I think once I frame it, and I frame pretty tight, so I don't think you'll notice it. There's a little bit there, and this is a reproduction sampler as well. I love the colors and all the pinks. It's very pretty. Very, very pretty. And then this is what I was going to stitch for Sampler September, and I had so many problems with it that I just really wasn't feeling it. So I moved on to something else. But this is GGR Martha S. Scott 1876. It's stunning. Very, very pretty. So my problem was I initially started it on I believe this is a 36 count. It's not labeled. I'm 99.9% sure that this is Lakeside Linen Vintage Meadow Rue. I'm pretty sure about that. And it's a beautiful fabric. I wanted something a little bit more gold. And I'm stitching it with one thread here. And if you look at the original sampler, you can see it's kind of chunky. And it's kind of like Harriet Elizabeth coat. I really wanted to kind of recreate this close to the original. So I started it over and I found a fabric that I feel like is a little bit more fitting. It's got a little bit more yellow in it. So this is a bit cooler and I really like this. This one I dyed myself. This was a cast off, I believe. I don't know. It's pretty though. So I started it and I restarted it with 2 strands. And I like that much better. So I'm going to go with this one. And I'll just kind of show you the difference. I have like a hair in my eyelash that is driving me crazy. So if I'm blinking a lot, that's what it is. So there are the 2. And this is a Weeks Dye Works Turkish Red. And I definitely think that this is a bit closer to that original. Still not, I mean, if I wanted to, I could stitch it in wool, but who wants to do that? I don't enjoy stitching with wool. So I'm going to move forward with that. The threads are very interesting. I'm missing a few, and one of them is kind of like a bright navy-ish blue. But some of these colors, this is the red here. It's pretty bright. And then there's like some orange and pink, and it's just, you wouldn't, I mean, I don't look at that and go, wow, that really works together. But it does. I mean, the sampler is gorgeous. So fun colors, kind of out of my normal wheelhouse of color palettes, but I'm missing a few too. So those are some Gentle Arts threads that are difficult to source. I did just get a huge order in. Not all of my order. It's still only about maybe 30% of what I ordered. And I'm still out of stock of a lot. So I just keep placing orders and hoping that it shows up. Next is kind of another fail. This is Maria Finney. This was a club kit from Country Sampler. I'm still in this club. It's like a, I think this was a schoolgirl samplers club, and there's another one now, but I will never give up that club. It's fantastic. I just love getting a kit of a beautiful sampler, and I love Jeannie's kind of, she, like the needlework press, oftentimes she'll grunge those, darken those up a little bit, and make it kind of her version, and I really love that. And this one is very pretty. Teresa typically, pretty much always, I think, charts samplers from the front. She wants them to look like kind of old and weathered and antique, like she found them. And this one is no exception. She also charts all the mistakes, or, you know, she doesn't fix anything that these girls do. She charts it as is, and which is fine. But that has caused me, well, it hasn't, it's not necessarily that. I've just made mistakes in the border. And I always think I'm farther along than I am. And so now I have PTSD because I've stitched this border so many times that I'm afraid it's not going to match up again. And so I've put this away for a while. This is on a Weeks Dye Works straw, which I really love too. It's beautiful. But I need to pick that up again. I love the kind of ghost alphabet up there. It's very pretty. And the thread palette for that is very neutral. So I did have to buy a second skein of the border thread because I ran out pulling it out so many times. So there are the threads. It's very, very neutral. Wouldn't call it drab. I love the blues because I love blues, but isn't that pretty? I really like that. It's very samplery, very vintagey, and very kind of worn and faded. Great. Right up my alley. So I need to pick that one up because I really think it's pretty, and it'll be nice when it's done. Just put that there. Next is not a traditional sampler per se, but this is Glendon Place Sleepy Hollow. I've been working on this for a few years. I really need to finish it up. I love it. It is a lot of fun to work on. And I'm stitching it on a 28 count linen that I dyed to be just kind of Halloween-y and spooky. I know I've shown you this a million times. You're probably sick of seeing it. The moon is stitched in a water lily silk, and it's really pretty. I've seen some people do it in the DMC glow in the dark fabric, but that is a bear, or a thread, glow in the dark thread, but that is a bear to stitch with. But it's so pretty. I'm doing my back stitching as I go. So like my creepy pumpkin head there and the border, just back stitching that as I go because I've learned my lesson about saving all the back stitch for last. So the tree is all done, and down there is all done. The border got a little tedious, but I really love it. I love the pops of kind of this limey green popping up behind the tree. Just looks like a creepy, cloudy winter, fallish autumn sky, Halloween-y sky. So I really need to get back to that one. I love this. So cool. So cool. And it's got beads and fun things and metallic threads and stuff I don't use a lot of, but it's good in small doses. Next is another not traditional sampler. But this is the Village of Hawk Run Hollow. So, and it's like a mini, this is a true mini finish. Like when people talk about finishing a motif in a sampler and they feel like it's a mini finish, I never feel that way when I'm stitching motifs. This, I feel like once I finish one of these blocks, I feel like that's a mini finish. So, these are all individual patterns. And I'm stitching it in a combination of DMC and silks that I'm just kind of pulling as I go. And I think that's really my downfall with this project because I don't have threads pulled. So I've gone to pick it up a million times and then put it back because there are no threads in the bag. And every page, I believe, kind of calls for a different set of colors, so it's not like it's repeated throughout. It's like 12 individual charts, but I have half of it done. I'm a little past the halfway point, and I would really like to get this one done. This is on a 40 count Lakeside linen vintage maple sugar, and yeah, this one has seen a lot of time. I spilled something on it, if I remember correctly, but I rinsed it out. Didn't have an effect. Oh, I got something like syrup or something on it from one of the kids. But it's very pretty, very dense stitching. I would say that this one is second for dense stitching next to Houses of Hawk Run Hollow. And that's on my agenda as well. I really want to do Christmas. I can only have one of these going at a time. Of course, I have Farms of Hawk Run Hollow. I love it. I want to stitch them all. So I really should get moving on this one and just, oh, it's very enjoyable to stitch. I really like it. So I need to get moving on that one. Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. I love that. I cannot wait to stitch that one. And the next one is, it's actually a chart that's not available yet. I'm sure that it will be. This was a sampler that was from the Country Sampler Retreat Stitch Camp this year. And I was supposed to go, couldn't go for several reasons, ended up having to cancel, and then realized that there were a lot of my friends there, and I was so disappointed that I couldn't go. And it was Chessie and me, Paulette Stewart, a Plum Street Sampler, and With Thy Needle and Thread. I mean, literally my top 3 favorite designers. I was so bummed that I couldn't be there, and but I was posting kind of the class projects and stuff as people were posting them on social media, and I had a couple friends offer, because I really loved Linda's sampler, and so I had a couple friends offer to send it to me, which was super, super kind. And so of course I started it right away. I stitched this one up until 4th of July, and then I get kind of not sick of doing it, but I just kind of lose my mojo for patriotic stitching after that and kind of want to move on. And then I started Live on Little. So I stitched this, I think, through the most of July, and then in August I started Live on Little. Pretty much, I think I stitched most of that in a month. And this one I actually only worked on for a week or two. And not too much. There's a lot of specialty stitches in this one. The stripes there are a rice stitch, I believe. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. The border also, I know, is a 4-sided stitch. That's a little tedious for me because I use the sewing method and I stitch in hand, and my stitches did not look nice. When I was using the sewing method, the sides of the block were really kind of getting blown out and rounded out. So I'm doing poke and stab, which is a little slower going, but it looks much nicer, and it actually looks like a square versus kind of a balloon. So I'll pick that one up again next year. I think that this is a Weeks Dye Works straw as well. I don't have the floss key in front of me. I don't know actually what I did with my bag for this one. Really enjoy that one. And then next was kind of, I am so cold. Brr, it's cold in here. The last swig of my coffee has a lot of really fine grounds in it because I ground it for espresso. Oh, yeah. Eeks. Did not taste good. So, I have started, so this is Anne Uffendell, and this is the original, the two-sided booklet that has both of the samplers. So I was lucky enough to get the last one that Stitchville had. I actually started on Isabella. I think most people stitch Anne. It's very pretty with these symmetrical trees and that big flower basket there. But my intention is to stitch both of them, and I went in order by year. That's how I decided. So this one was stitched in 1835, and this one was 1829. Almost 200 years old. Isn't that crazy? And I dyed the fabric myself. I think it's really pretty. And I have 2 pieces of linen because I wanted the colors to be the same. So I'm going to probably, when I get them, you know, next week when I get them finished, I'll hang them in the same room and near each other. I started this, and this is the bigger one of the 2, I believe, taller. So it's a good chunk of fabric, and it should fill up most of this. And when I started it in the DMC, and I don't know if the DMC is a little bit different. I mean, because it's hard to match these exactly. Because the colors look much darker on the picture. And like if you look at the berries here look like a very dark red. And these are very watermelony. And the green in the border, see, it's actually 2 greens, seem very bright compared to the picture on the chart. So I don't really have any reference point because most people are stitching this one, and the color palette is definitely different. Anyways, I think when you're stitching a sampler that is this big, and this, quite frankly, is already enough work. I don't want to continue this if I don't love it, because then I'm never going to finish it. So I put the DMCs away, and I opted to splurge for the silks. And so I have the silks here, and these are all Avera Soie. They're the Soie d'Alger. Seriously, not French. But I think that actually this is this lighter color. And there's definitely a difference. I wish I would have kept the, I don't know, we'll see when. There's just a slight color difference, but it makes, because it is, when you look at it, it looks really close. But I think that, you know, once I put these stitches in, I think I'll be happier with it. And who doesn't love to stitch with silks? So, but it was an investment, and I need to not have it sitting in this project bag doing nothing. Because that's really a shame. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll get a chance to restart this. It's always kind of difficult for me too. I'm just actually going to leave this, and I'm going to start at the opposite end. And if I need to pick any of that out, I will. But I'm not going to pull it out unless I absolutely have to. But I love the linen color. It's just really pretty. It looks just like an aged kind of parchment. And it's so pretty. It's just perfect. So And then next is a Moira Blackburn, and this is Farmer's Prayer. I won't read you the verse. What has me stalled on this is I just do not love the border colors, but what I need to get past is when I'm looking at it, I don't notice the border colors. I notice the fun stuff at the top and the corn. I love the corn. So I need to get past that, but I've been stitching on the border, and I don't, the green and the orange and the purple don't do it for me. But if you stand back and look at it, it doesn't scream out, but they're not, none of them are my favorite kind of shades of those colors either. And then I elected not to do the top, because if I do the top, I'll never finish this. I don't know what this fabric is, but it feels kind of really nice. I don't know. It's not labeled. No, I don't think it is. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's nice. And, yeah, it's a lot of words, That should go fairly quick. And I believe this is all DMC. So I should just really need to get back to that, because I would like to have that done. That's a fun one. I should just go page by page and just get her done. I also don't have the threads pulled for that. But I should just go and get it kitted up with some DMC and be done with it. And then start working on it. Next is L Genders. And this is a reproduction by With Thy Needle and Thread. It's just a little needle roll. So this is the antique and the reproduction there. It's so sweet. It's got a little 1/1 alphabet, which is where I stopped. And again, it's a 2-page project, small, quick. And I stopped at the 1/1 alphabet. I don't know if I just wasn't feeling it. I actually really enjoy stitching 1/1. It's, I don't know, it's just kind of relaxing and easy. Even though I have to poke and stab, I still really like it. So I want to get that one done. It's sweet. And then I think I may finish it into, I'm going to do a needle roll, but I think I might line one of my, it's on a spool. I'll show it to you when I finish it. And I think that might be a good option for this. And I think I have that one on a spool already. And then next is, this is a Shakespeare Peddler. And this was a piece originally designed for one of my retreats. And this is, it's so sweet. And it was to kind of commemorate being at home, because it was a COVID year. And we were all spending a lot of time at home. Not necessarily with our families, but we were all spending lots of time at home. I don't have the threads here with this. I think they're down in the box. But threads did come with it. And then I made the mistake of doing the fun part. I did the house. And so I did all the fun parts, and I should not have done that, but I could not help myself. I love the little wreaths. I really love the border there. It's a little tedious because there's no pattern or anything. It's very random. And there's one more to do down at the bottom. And then just a quick verse. I'm going to really, really work. I mean, I'm so close to having this done. It's ridiculous. Just the words here would take me nothing. I need to finish that and just get it off my plate. Yes, definitely need to finish that. And then next is another one I am absolutely going to finish this year, committed to finishing this one. And I should have pulled these out for a sampler September, because I really could have made progress on them and I would have really enjoyed. So this one is Feliz Navidad. I even got a hold of this one. This is a Blackbird Designs. You can't really read that here. I don't know what got into him. Thankfully, this one, I don't do it often, but I had a working copy of this one. so I can still stitch it without having to buy a new pattern. What got me with this one is the way that I was handling my threads at the time. I started this so many years ago, it's ridiculous. And it was when I was still keeping, excuse me, all my threads on bobbins, including my Weeks Dye Works. I would wind them around the tags and put them in a bobbin box. That just was not working for me, and I no longer do that. I don't bobbinate my DMC anymore either. And so my threads are just an absolute disaster. And they're kind of crinkly and wrinkly because I took them off the bobbins. But I found this method of storing my threads works much, much better for me because this sampler has color changes almost every alphabet. And I did power through most of it. I do have one more. It wouldn't bother me as much now. I'm just more relaxed in my stitching. I think I was just in a race to get things done. I don't know what it is, but I'm much more relaxed about my stitching now. And yeah, it's so pretty. It's very pretty. I love kind of some of those ghost letters in there. I love all the colors. I mean, that's what really makes it so cheery and Christmassy. And this is a linen I dyed myself. I think it's a 40 count. And so I've got most of it done. I've got most of this row done. So I just really have this and then some fun motifs and the words finish up the border. I like doing all the berries. And I think I have some more berries to put in here. And I like that there are some color changes with the berries too. And in the border. So the greens even change colors. And so do the reds. It's super pretty and festive. I'm going to have this framed on my wall for Christmas this year. And I was stitching this with my friend Jean, who passed away. So I think I might put her initials on it somewhere. Instead of 2016, I might put her initials on one side and mine on the other. Because she was appalled. She was appalled at how long it took me. She's like, Michelle, every time I saw her, she's like, Michelle, get that sampler done. Get it done. I miss her around to push me. Okay, and let me regroup here. Okay, I almost forgot to show you what I have been working on this month for October. I've been working on it for about the past week. So this is Plum Street, Jack's Bash. And I started this a couple years ago and I got exactly to the halfway point. So it's 4 pages. And I like to stitch just a page at a time. And I stitched the top half of the sampler, left all my threads, exactly had kind of a line of where, so here's where I stopped. You can see I left just threads hanging. So I just had a straight line all the way across. And this is the progress I've made in the past week. So basically straight across here, I had threads hanging there as well. And I just continued on. So I finished up this border, just finished this big chunk of grass the other night. And I've been doing the 1/1. And I have to say, I really have enjoyed it. So I have 3 more words to do. I'm sure you can't even see it. I can't even see it either. Autumn, bower, gourd, and flower. And then that 1/1 will be done. And I love the colors. It's getting a little blown out because it's pretty bright in here. The sun isn't out. It's a very overcast day, but the window is just big and I'm sitting right in front of it. I wish I would have dyed a different fabric for this. I have my Patreon fabric sitting right here. I think this would have been a perfect choice for this one. It's got a bit cooler tone to it. It's kind of a good substitute for like vellum or Ren. Picture this plus. But it definitely has a little bit cooler tone to it. But it would have, these colors would have really popped off of that. I really wanted to dye an orange, but I didn't think that that would be well received, but I think that this would have looked really nice on this. But it does look very nice on this too. I just wish I would have picked a little bit cooler background. But I love this so much. And it's kind of on, it looks anyways like it's a little bit more yellow tones in on this fabric. But it's very fun, really enjoyable. I don't feel like Paulette's the pictures just never do the samplers justice. I mean, isn't that true pretty much about everything? But this is so pretty. And I should have been stitching on this for September. This should have been my sampler September focus, and I would have had it done. Instead, because I was trying to force myself to work on Live on Little, I actually didn't stitch for about 2 weeks, like at all. But that one is really sweet. So I'm going to try and motor through some of these because now I have a bunch of seasonal things that I wanted to show you. I just don't think it's realistic that I'm going to get in another video before I'm ready to show you all my Christmas stitching. So that's why I just kind of have all this kind of, it's like a twofer. Anyways, I'm going to continue with that one. So the next time I see you, this should be done. This should be done because I'm very much feeling the fall stitching right now. I had a couple other finishes, just smalls, that I decided to set Live on Little aside and indulge myself in doing some seasonal stitches. So I did be thankful. And I actually, this is a width eye needle and thread. I actually intended to stitch this for, in my Patreon group, we have an exchange. And I was planning to use this for an exchange, but I just made too many mistakes. And it's not gift worthy. I'm going to keep it for myself. I think I actually might pop this into a frame. I feel like I have enough little smalls laying around. I feel like I could just use some little framed pieces to kind of pop into vignettes. And I think I'm going to do that. So I omitted the Be Ye. And I had a lot of unintentional personalizations. This is what really did me in, and that the reason why I was not going to give it as a gift. The tail is just terrible, and I made some mistakes in it, and I could not give it away. So this is the called for fabric. All of the called for threads, I think there were 2 substitutions because I couldn't get a couple of the Gentle Arts. So I substituted the house color for a week's dye works, and Schneckley I used, and then I substituted the bittersweet berries there, one of the colors. I don't know why my Alexa's talking. I don't know who she's talking to either. Anywhoosies, so this one's done. I'll keep this one and I will stitch it again. I love it. So this is the backing fabric that came with the kits, and I'll probably save that to finish another one. Cute. And I'll put that there. Then I also stitched, oh, this is A Witch in Her Garden. So I got that one done. Let me just hold that one up for you. This one I really, really enjoyed. I did have a counting error over here, and I had to pull this last sunflower out 2 times. So I stitched it. This is the 3rd time's the charm kind of deal. Oh, and then I realized too that I missed crossing these. No, it's over on this side. I missed crossing these stitches, so I need to go back and do that before I finish it. I'm glad I noticed that. But it had to be correct because when you make the drum, it needs to fit into there. What I may do, I may take this and copy it and take a copy of this and pop it into a little frame. I just think that this is so cute. And pop that into a little vignette too. It's adorable. This is one of those that I wouldn't mind having this whole thing framed as well. And then I would like to do the drum as well. I wanted to mention something. It is so cold in here. I get a lot of people that contact me because when I did the kits, I offered full kits with the pumpkin stem. So I always get people questioning me if asking if I would sell them a pumpkin stem. And what I will tell you is it is getting to be the time of year where they're difficult to come by now. And they're kind of sold out for the season. I have a friend, Sally, the Humble Bumble Stitcher. She sent this to me a few years ago, and it's actually just a stick, a twig, and it looks great. And I saw that, and I thought, oh, that's a perfect solution for someone. So if you can't find a pumpkin stem, just go out into your yard and trim a little branch off of a tree and use a branch. It's just as effective, and she just hot glued it and put a little ribbon, and it's adorable. It's adorable. And then I also made a little pin cushion. So this was, I found my inspiration from the little Jingle All the Way pin cushions that were in the book of these little sugar plums. This isn't the best example because I think I glued it in a little crooked. But it uses a vintage ball zinc jar lid. And so I made a little pumpkin pin cushion, and I drew up a quick pattern, and I made this available in my Patreon, and then I offered kits for patrons as well. And there's just a little wool leaf. The kit included the pumpkin stems and then some pins and there's just a little rusty pin. Oh, and then my pumpkin pins. I made those a while ago, and I was just looking for the perfect project. I knew a perfect project would come along, and they're just adorable. I also have this little buttermilk basin that I need to finish into a little pillow. I always try and back everything on SF 101 if I'm working on wool, because wool is just so stretchy, and I just need to finish that. Just need to finish it. Would not take long at all. Then I have my his and her stockings. This year, I am going to get the rickrack on that. I've said this a million times, but I have some rickrack. This is Lady Dot Creates and a new color goldfish. She had this at Needlework Expo. I'm thinking that this is going to be a good fit for this. I also have some really mini rickrack. I need to audition it a little bit and see how I like it. I may dip it in a little bit of coffee. It's looking really bright. It's actually not really bright, but I may want to darken it up just a little bit. So I might dip it in some coffee, but it will not require much to get that done. This is her other new color, Witch Face Green. It's really kind of pretty faded green. That one's pretty too. And then I have some charms in the bottom here that have been there for years since I finished these. So I need to get those done. Oh, let's see. What else do I have? I have my velveteen. I'm hoping I get to make a few more just little pumpkin pin cushions. I'm going to do them with velveteen. I was thinking maybe I would do a stack. I think that would be really cute with these colors. And just make pumpkins, attach them to each other, and put a stem on the top one. This is Lady Dot Creates Velveteen. This is yams, squash, and onions. And then she had some other fun finishing kits. So this is Fright Night, and it comes with a little piece of velveteen, 2 pieces of velveteen, the orange and the black. And then there are some pumpkin charms in here and a little bat. And then there was a couple different Christmas trims. This is sweet and a little twisted, and it's a lot of different ribbons. And then there's a bunch of charms in the bottom too. Her charms are really sweet. There are some little peppermints in there. And there's a little tag that says wish, a candy cane, and then one that says joy in the bottom. And then just fun little trims. Perfect for ornaments. There's another Lady Dot Velveteen pack, and this one's called Peppermints. And it's a velveteen pack with red, white, and a black. Another Christmas. And I think there was one more. Oh, here. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. This is a little bit more traditional ribbons with the kind of cranberry and emerald green. And then has some really pretty charms in there as well. There's a little bell and a tree, a snowflake, and a wreath. So that's really sweet. Just a really good all-purpose embellishing kits. I am gonna knock something over here. I have my wool acorns, and I have that with my autumn and Amana. And then I have these still packaged, but these are my own personal, and I'm gonna stick those in there. The tray is from Homestead Needlework, and she is April in Alabama on Instagram. And this is Autumn and Amana. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread. And this is her Souvenirs of the Heart series. There's also a patriotic pattern and a Christmas, Home for Christmas, I think it's called. And they're stitched over, I mean, you don't have to stitch them like that, but I stitched them over one on the 28 count Lugana. And this one, I think I just kind of pulled random threads. Look at the little acorns. I just love them. And it's so sweet and it's so tiny. I love it. Just teeny, teeny, tiny stitches. I use some little tiny mini rickrack. It's adorable. Look at the little tiny acorns at the top. I love these. I'm going to stitch the Christmas one this year for sure. So I have that. And I have Button-Eyed Cat. This is a Scarlet House pattern, and I just have fun little black backing and use some pre-made twine for that one. Love that. I actually stitched this with one thread on a 32 count. You can see the coverage there, but if you don't look close at it, you can't really tell. It's adorable. And of course I didn't use buttons for the eyes. And I also have, this is Hands On Design, Pumpkin Spice Farm. I have this filled with crushed walnut shells. I probably will eventually take this out and put, I really prefer sawdust. This is the same, this is Pumpkin and Bittersweet. This is a Scarlet House. I'll probably do the same thing. They're kind of chunky, but they look a little schlumpy. And I like the way that sawdust looks. So this is sawdust, and I put a lot of sawdust in. Fuzzies. Pumpkin Spice Everything. It's another Scarlet House. I love the leaves on that one. And then my backing fabric is just another black with lots of fuzzies. Then this is a Prairie Schooler. This was a gift. So cute. And she stuffed her back by making a little slit and then putting a piece of wool. Pretty sure she used her Cricut for this, and some buttons. Really cute. And then this, my friend Rachel made. This is a Pineberry Lane. It was a club kit. So sweet. And then she used a wool on the back. And then I have, I think this is Boo to You, and this is a With Thy Needle and Thread. This is not its permanent home. I need to get a black board from, this is from Homestead Needlework as well. And it's just like tacked on here loosely with some stitchery tape, so it'll stay on there. But I need to get a black board and make that really pop, because it kind of loses my rickrack trim. And although I saw, I've seen some people do, like Carol has hers just mounted on a, you know, like a piece of sticky board or whatever it is, foam core with just some fabric over it. I might do that as well. That'd be really cute. But I do love these little boards. This is another Scarlet House. This is Autumn Alphabet, and this is on the called for board, also from April. And this one, she did a really fun crackle finish with the orange underneath. I love that. This is sweet. I love this. And then this was a freebie. Little Stitcher, I think, was her blog. She has an Etsy page too. I was unable to look it up because my account was hacked. a year and a half ago or so, and I no longer have access to it to look it up because it was attached to a Gmail account that was hacked. But it's just a witch silhouette, and I put a little piece of trim on there. And then this was a gift as well from my friend Kathy. I love this so much. This is Plum Street Harvest Keeper. She put the tag on the back. This is really frame worthy. Eventually I will pop this out of here and frame it. I hate the idea of it getting dusty. I usually I have it sitting up in a little tray that's hanging on my wall. But look at the colors in there, and look at those acorns. They're beautiful. I love this one. I love this flower. The bee skeps are amazing. The cute little bees. It's just so pretty. Love that. I love that. And then I have a few more frame pieces. This is a Prairie Schooler, and this is Harvest Time. And this one I stitched on a 28 count, like antique white Lugana with 2 threads. I stitched this years and years ago. This is my husband's favorite thing I've ever stitched. I do love it. It's a seasonal chart. There's 3 different patterns. It's all the same houses. So this is spring green, village green. Spring green is where country samplers. So this is the spring one. You can see the leaves change, the horse changes what it's pulling, and the trees back here change, and then these trees change. See, they're robins feeding their young, and on this one, the horse is pulling a hay cart, and there's pumpkins, and the leaves are turning, pumpkins here, and then autumnal color in the back. This is also a non-reflective glass, but you can't see when it's, yeah, so I really like that one. And then there's a Christmas one too, and that one has a horse pulling a sleigh, and then Christmas or pine trees in the background. Evergreens, excuse me. And then from this same chart, Harvest Time, there were 2 other companion charts that went with it. One had a witch in it, and one had this turkey in it. And the turkey is like surrounded by leaves. It's kind of like this same size, and it's got a little box around it there. So yeah, so I just popped that out, and this is just a Hobby Lobby frame that I painted. The frame is in rough shape. You can see it's kind of falling apart, so I need to get a new one. And I didn't glue this in or anything. It's actually just sitting in there loose. And then I have Blackbird Designs, and this is, I believe it's called Casting a Spell. It's still available. I'm pretty sure I still have this in my shop. The box is available from Hobby Lobby, and it is still available because I just saw it there last week. And the pattern calls to put this on a like pudding box, and then it's more flush with the surface. And I just put them all on foam core and stuck them in the bottom so that I could, because these are the biggest holes and they hold. I have like a needle threader in here, and sometimes I put other little fun stitchy things in there. And then I store things, small pillows and buttons and pins and things in there in the off season when this goes to hibernate. So I really like that. And this one is a Plum Street sampler. And I believe that this is called, what is this called? I do not remember. If I remember, I'll put it down here. But I love the colors in the carriage with the pumpkins. So pretty. And I love the little ghost. But this is a series as well. There's one with a horse. And then this is Berry Time at Thistledown Farm. I'm kind of losing my berry here. It needs to get tucked behind there again. This is a With Thy Needle and Thread. This is a little bit bigger than the book box that it calls for, but I love having these. She has another one that is a patriotic stitch, and it's mounted on like a photo box, you know, that you could store photos in and then put a picture in the top. So you put your stitch piece in the top and then it's got a slide out top. And I love these for having next to my stitchy spot and just kind of containing my needles and my pins and things like that. So I like having a seasonal one. I would like to do another one that is winter or has something winter themed so that I can set it out next to my stitchy spot for that season. And then this one is just kind of a fun one. This is the same designer, I'm pretty sure, that did this witch. This was a freebie. This was a paid pattern. And again, I think it's Little Stitcher. And this is Arsenic and Old Lace, which is an old Cary Grant movie. And this was the first, Gary made me when we first got married. He's like, you know, it was a weekend. Do you want to watch a movie? Sure. What do you want to watch? And he's like, hey, how about this old kid? And I was like, I don't want to watch a black and white movie. And he's like, just trust me. And so I watched it and fell in love with Cary Grant. Had like a literally was obsessed with him for a decade and watched all of his movies, and they're still some of my favorites. This is one of our favorites to watch. We watch it every fall. So he plays Mortimer Brewster, and his two crazy aunts kill men. They think that they're doing them a favor, and then they bury them in the basement. So if you haven't seen it, it's a goofy movie. But yeah, old black and white from the 30s, and it's fun. And this is a picture of this plus shale, which it's an old dye lot and really has a lot of purple in it, but I think the black and the gray really toned down, and mine did not have that much purple in it. It's really has a lot of gray, but you can see it was fun. And then I think I have just one last thing. This is also with Thy Needle and Thread. I don't think this is available anymore. This was limited to Brenda's website, and this was stitched by a friend of mine, Tina. And it's just so cute. It's one of my favorite things to pull out, and it's stitched like over one on 40 count. It's so tiny. I think it's 40 count. I don't know. It looks like 40 count. It's so small. Is it stitched over one? Maybe it's not even stitched over one. I don't know. I don't have my glasses on. I can't see. Maybe it's stitched over two. It looks so tiny. But it is just one of my fall favorites to pull out every year. I love it. And I think that's all I have for you. I do have giveaway winner from last time. Let me find it here. As long as we're already over an hour, let me just go through some of my must-dos. This is a kit that I got, a country sampler last year in 2021, I believe, when I was there. And this was Blackbird Designs. I just realized yesterday that there are two patterns in here. So there's one that is a little button bag with this pumpkin in it that I love. And then this pincushion pattern, which I also love. The little squirrel with this acorn. So, and the color palette for that is so pretty. Just look at all those gorgeous colors. Isn't that stunning? Okay, dropped a little something. And then it came with the fabric to stitch it on. It's definitely a picture this plus. That looks like Wren. And some backing fabric or some type of fabric to probably do the drum. It's just, and then a little piece of seam binding ribbon, which is very pretty. So that is definitely calling me. These threads just do it for me. So I'm gonna maybe work on that. I also have this one. This is Needlework Press, and this is another series or another club kit. So I don't think it's available right now. But this is Jeannie's version of it. So this is Needleworks Press version and then Jeannie. And this is just gorgeous. And it just looks like it would be a super quick stitch and very sweet. I love the fabric. So that one, I love, 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 love a kit. Then there is Wee Santa, this heart and hand. This was new at Expo. It's so adorable. I love those pink colors. And then she does one every year, and this was Wee Santa from last year. It's really adorable too. So that's, oh, and it also comes with a little bead pack in there. So that's kind of fun. And then from Expo, there was just some really great stuff. Beth Twist had some of my favorites. This is a scary sampler. And I don't know where I read it, but somewhere I read that this is kind of based on like an old morning sampler. It's original design, but it's kind of loosely based on an antique morning sampler, I believe, if memory serves. I could be wrong. But I love just how kitschy it is, and I love this stone walkway. I love the border. I love everything about it. Oh, here's one of the coffee patterns. This one almost looks Christmassy to me just because it's got this deer here and the colors. It's very pretty. I love that one. And it says, if you can't remember my name, just say coffee and I'll turn around. But that one's very pretty. And let's see here. This was a newish to me designer. I actually saw this stitched at Heart's Desire this summer. And this is Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. So most of their stuff is fall themed and a lot of witches. I believe it's her husband that does the designing. But this is so pretty. And I would kind of describe his style as like a very modern prairie schooler. It's very cool. You should check out the patterns. They're really neat. And this one is more like fall, but a lot of their stuff is Halloween. So if you love Halloween, you probably really like their stuff. But this is gorgeous. I think it was stitched 1/1 at Heart's Desire. Then next is Small Samplings, a collection of antique needlework. I thought that this was so pretty. There's a lot of things I like in here. I really like this little guy. It's very bright. I think I would tone down the colors just a little bit, but I like how kind of like mini and vintagey looking it is. And then there is this pin cushion is really pretty. This one's really pretty. They're all really beautiful and all in one book, which I think is awesome. I think this one is just super classic and pretty. This bird gets me. It's just so pretty. Just a great spring stitch. I swap out like all my artwork and everything on my walls. So I'm always looking for seasonal things. This, I spilled a little water on here, but this is Band of Roses 1845 Antique Sampler by Cross Stitch Antiques. Look at this church. Stunning. I love it. I really love this kind of style of sampler. I don't know if it's French or German. I want to say it's German, but I could be wrong. But I really love this. And then Scarlet House. This was not an Expo release. I think it was released right around there. I think this was a exclusive for a retreat and was just released. But it has all these really fun projects. There aren't that many. I mean, the floss list is pretty short, and it's Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks, so easy to get. And for all of these, so you get the sampler and the little pillow here, the strawberry, the needle book, and the fob. And then I did go ahead and buy, this is the tray from Homestead Needlework, April in Alabama. I went ahead and got that as well. And, oh, I do have a few more fall things. Bobbing for Pumpkins. I need to get this one done. Also October 31st. This with I Needle on Thread. Those are both on my agenda. I love this quilt so much. I really want to start kitting this up and finding really good oranges. I have right now a lot of Joe Morton and Kansas Trouble quilts. I have a little doe out there that's in heat and everybody is trying to mount her. I've been watching that for like 2 hours now. But anyways, and then just, I mean, it's just so classic. I love how that orange pops off of there. And I have not been, I don't really stitch these little mini stockings, but I've seen so many people show them. And they're so cute. And then I pulled out this book and I was flipping through it. And I cannot believe how many were in here. So there's 13 different stockings in here, and they're really cute. So I just thought that this was a good deal. And if you have a little like Halloween tree, or the candy corn one, I think that's my favorite. I love that one. Yeah, there's just a bunch of really fun ones. This is so cute too. So I have a new affinity for these little stockings. And then with the little stockings, there is, these are all my collection, my own personal collection, because some of these you can't get anymore. They're getting harder and harder to find, and they're not available at the distributor. So I think what Blackbird does, I'm speculating here. There is a run of these, and when they're gone, they're gone. Sometimes they may be reprinted and sometimes not. But this one again is, and they're really inexpensive. I mean, their charts are so reasonable. And then this is By the Chimney with Care, and there's multiple stockings in this one. I think those are $9. Super reasonable. This is a bag pattern by Hatched and Patch, who is an Australian designer, and I love all the colors. I love this little applique. So I think this would be really cute as a little knitting bag that's typically when I knit for Christmas stuff. And I also love this. This is Kathy Schmitz. And I think I would do this in a pillow versus making a bag out of it. I just love it. I love all the little extra stitches on it. This is another Hatched and Patch, The Simple Life. And these colors, again, get me. It's so bright and cheery. And I love all the little applique blocks. They're very sweet. And then I worked a little bit on my Jingle All the Way. So this is a book by Debbie Busby. And there are a bazillion, this is the best book ever. There's like a bazillion different projects in here to do. And I'm kitting this up. A question I get a lot is, can people join the club? And the short answer is unfortunately no, because before the club started, I had a specific number of kits based on all the fabric and everything that I bought that I was able to put together. And I would, in order to do it again, I would have to order bolts and bolts of fabric. And I just don't think I'd get enough interest to be able to justify that big expense, because it was a chunk. Everyone should have gotten their kits for October already. And in this month's kit, you got all the fabric and buttons and threads and everything to make all these gingerbread people. And a couple of them are bowl fillers, so they're super fun. Then you also got, in last month's, you got this kit. And this month, you got the small pillows on a hand-dyed linen from Blackberry Primitives. It's very beautiful, and hand-dyed wool from Blackberry Primitives. And then I did swap out in your kit. Instead of using this black and white stripe, I used a red and white. But I did finish my blocks, so I just need to piece them together now. So there is the candy cane, and there is the bell, and the stocking. And these didn't take any time at all. The tree, the Prezi, so cute. I love this wool. And Joy. And so hopefully I'll have that put together. And then I had one other little mini wall hanging that I pieced together. And I did not love, this is a diamond textile fabric, and it just doesn't have a lot of structure to it. And it's kind of more of a loosely woven, and yeah, you can't like crisp it up with starch as easily as you can a cotton calico. But it's really adorable. It's just a little, it did have a leaf as well, and I pieced them all together, and I just didn't like them. So I just decided to go with plain old pumpkins. You didn't put the leaf on every one of them, but you put it on enough that, I don't know. And some of them are pieced, and some of them are strips, and some of them are solid squares. So this was a super quick stitch. And so I need to finish that. And I think that's all I have for you. I know that was a lot and I've gone on long enough, so I'm going to end this video, but I hope you guys are doing well. And I'm going to be back in about a month or so in order to share all the Christmas stuff. I'm really looking forward to that. And by then, there will probably be a little bit of snow on the ground. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.